in this day and age, it is so simple to be unbelievably accomplished. It is incredibly simple. Why? People give up so easily. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's sports. I don't care if you want to be the lead in the play. It is so simple to be unbelievably accomplished. Learn to be tough. Learn to have some grit to you. Learn to be relentless.
Welcome back to another very special interview for Masters of the Game. And today I get to introduce you to my coach and who's become a friend over the past probably decade, Mr. Jim Brogan. And those of you who don't know Jim, he's listening right now. I get to brag on every guest before I start asking questions. So he's got to listen to this a little bit. But Jim is a former NBA basketball legend. He is now a coach to athletes, coaches, and business leaders, including yours truly, and has got an amazing business speaking and coaching everybody from experienced corporate executives, business groups, colleges, sports organizations, universities, MLB, NHL, NBA. I mean, you name it, he has worked or is currently working with those types of organizations. He is a mental toughness guru. He is a master. He's not only done it himself, but now he gets to coach people on how to do it every single day. Now, some names that you probably have heard of that he has worked with, some NFL coaches and players named Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Malcolm Floyd, Dan Quinn, Jack Del Rio. I could go on. He's done consulting for the Chicago Cubs, San Diego Padres, and USA Baseball. And speaking of baseball, has worked with some major leaguers such as Cole Hamels and Mark Prior. And I'm so excited to get to, again, spend time interviewing one of my mentors, my coach, Mr. Jim Brogan. So, Jim, welcome again. I'm done bragging on you now. Excited to start asking you questions.
Matt, great to be here. And what a thrill it is that we get to share our knowledge and share some of my expertise and what I've been through, the successes, the failures. And, it's just wonderful to be able to share this with your audience because I know what you're about. And I know that within your ethos, you make a difference with people that you meet right off the bat. So it's an honor and pleasure to be here with you.
Well, thank you so much for that. And, I'm excited to get to learn a little more about kind of your story and kind of your upbringing a little bit, because I want to start with your basketball career first. And obviously you made that transition from high school to the collegiate level to the professional level. And the first question I have off the bat, thinking of like basketball specifically, like what's one of your greatest memories from playing either in college or NBA, just from sports in general?
Dunking against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's a good one.
Talking crap to Larry Bird, and he would talk crap back. It was just a thrill because I had no aspirations to play professional basketball, go to the NBA, graduating from college, actually working on my CPA designation. I majored in accounting and business and psychology. I double majored out of college, which that's something I'm extremely proud of because of the work, effort, energy, and sacrifice that it took to get those 2 degrees. And also that's kind of the platform, that's the discipline that it takes to accomplish whatever a person chooses in life, period. I mean, getting to the NBA was just outworking people. I wasn't the best basketball player, and I was fortunate. I went to a basketball powerhouse, Matt. Lower Merion High School is known for its sports, especially basketball. I was the first guy to come out of Lower Merion to go to the pros. A guy by the name of Kobe Bryant was the second. And an unfortunate incident, an accident that happened to him, and the world lost a great one. He was wonderful. And I remember going back and doing camps, and there he is, sitting in the audience as a 12th grader. And, how did you do it, Jim? What did you do? And I said, just outwork people daily. I mean, before school, take 250 jumpers. Even in college, every day before school, take 250 jumpers, work on your 2-ball dribbling. It is relatively simple, Matt. It's a very simple formula. It's not easy. It's simple because as human beings, you get to decide. And I trust everyone listening to me right now and take notes on what Matt talks about. Take notes kind of what I'm talking about, because when you write something down, there's a greater possibility that you'll remember it and a greater probability you will apply it. And I see you and I both, how much talent have we seen young men, young women that have the bodies, they've got the skills, they've got the athleticism, yet they miss that drive, that work ethic. They let something so small get to them neurologically, and they mentally fall apart. And you and I have discussed this for years, and you're an expert in that area. And that's one of the things you do so well is teaching people. I hear people, I want to get to the next level. Okay, what are you going to do when you get there? Tell me 3 things you're going to do to maintain it. So throughout my particular early career in athletics, I wasn't the best player on the high school team. I wasn't the best player on the college team. I grew to be one of the best players because it took time, which was consistent, 7 days a week. And I probably should have taken one day off and taken a break, but you're driven. And is that teachable? That's one of the questions you and I have always talked about. Can you teach a person to be driven? And so we all have those choices. We're not cats. We're not dogs. We're not giraffes.
Yes.
People get to choose. And I look at their choice and I go, hold on now, that's not going to get you where you said you want to go.
Yes.
So that's kind of a long-winded answer to your question. However, I wanted to make sure I can, put a whole cover over top of that so people would get in the very beginning. Jim Brogan is about results.
Yes.
Jim Brogan is about consistency. Writing things down, keeping yourself accountable.
Yes.
It's what you do when no one's watching. Are you first to practice? Are you last to leave? Do you not leave until you kick 10 soccer balls into the right corner of the goal? Do you not leave until you hit 10 pucks up into the right corner of the goal? Do you not leave until you swish 5 free throws? What is that thing that you're doing every day that no one else is doing? And it would increase your ability to focus and concentrate because you have a standard.
Yes.
I work with the Navy SEALs, and my partner in our business, he was a captain of special operations, and you only take the best. You only take the best. I mean, so let's teach people how to get the best grade in history, get the best grade in chemistry. What do I need to do?
Yes.
Because it can't just be about sports. It's got to be about the person, period.
I love, I mean, there's so much to unpack in just what you said right there, right? And when you look at that work ethic at the high school level, collegiate level, you continue that into the pros. What was the driver for you? Was there a driver, or was it something you were just born with, or was it learned by parents? Like, where did that come from for you specifically?
Matt, that's another wonderful question. Where did it come from? Where did the work ethic, where did the drive come from? Because my brother was a much better athlete than me. I mean, I thought for sure. I mean, he could hit a baseball a ton. He could fly. Not only is he quick, but he could run fast. And there's a difference between those.
There is.
And I wonder sometimes was parents just they encouraged, but they didn't demand. They opened the doors. It was up to me to go through. And I can remember my father saying that all the time. I'll open the door. I might nudge you a little bit, but you have to decide. I remember him. I mean, I've heard that so many times from the age of 10 all the way up till 18.
Yes.
You get to decide. And I think if you paint the picture if parents are listening to this and coaches, if you can paint the picture through your words, through communicating, this is what we're seeing you do. This is your consistency. This is your behavior. This is what's probably going to happen. It's not a 1-on-1 to ratio, but this is probably what's going to happen. And I just saw other people that were bigger, stronger, faster than me. And I just said, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do that better. So it was just a matter of doing something consistent. And I didn't know I was doing it at the time, going in and taking 250 jumpers every day before school, working on 2-ball dribbling. And all this was done in probably about 18 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. That's it.
Not a huge amount of time.
Not a huge amount of time, very marginal. Yes. What I didn't understand is that marginal thing that I was doing every day became a compound effect. And people miss the compound effect of what it does to you, because what you're doing daily, people don't understand what you're doing today in sports. If you're under the age of 18, it's going to pay off in about 6 months. If you're in college, what you do today is going to pay off in about a year, year and a half. If what you do today and you're a pro, it's going to pay off in about 2 years. If you're in business, what you do today is going to pay off in about 2 or 3 years. People miss thinking, well, I can let that go today. It's not a big deal. They don't understand the consequences. And I think Daniel Goleman, in his book, Emotional Intelligence, big, thick book, people miss the emotional intelligence side because they think, oh, it's not a big deal if I don't do this today. Yes, it is. It is a big deal. It will come back and bite you because the compound effect is now working against you as opposed to for you. So looking back, when I didn't miss a day in high school, I didn't miss a day in college. Should I have taken a day off? Looking back, yes, I probably should have taken Sunday off, take it easy, let the body relax. I just didn't like coming in second. I didn't like not playing.
Yes.
I wasn't a big athlete. I wasn't super strong. So I had to be able to do certain things better than the other athletes.
And did you have days looking back? I mean, even today, right? You're running a business and coaching people, but I have to imagine you had those days, maybe not, but where you were like, I don't feel like doing this, or I have 50 other things I could be doing. And now it's this whole social media world too, right? Where I can choose to scroll over shoot in that example, right? But when you look back, like, did you have those days? And if so, how did you overcome them? Like the self-talk or something, like what did you do to overcome that? And how do you coach people who get in their way?
It's interesting that if you have one of those days, I had a saying that was taught to me from a teacher in grade school, and I'll never forget this. Be willing to do today what others won't, so you can play tomorrow like others can't. And then you draw it up on the board and you say, here's the days you don't want to do it. You don't feel well. It's snowing outside. You live in Philadelphia. Do you really want to go outside and put baskets up when it's snowing outside and you can't get to the gym? Yes. Well, be willing to do today what others won't, so you can play tomorrow like others can't. So there was this, as I said earlier, ethos within my brain saying, okay, who else is going to go out and practice right now while it's snowing? Who else is going to run outside right now when it's pouring rain and it's cold? I should have been a Navy SEAL after I was done playing professional basketball.
Well, you hit your calling, but you could have had a little extra on the resume.
I've learned a lot being around the Navy SEALs, trust me. So there's always an excuse. And I do feel for young people today and people in general, because they don't understand. I've worked with 3 doctors for the last 40 some years about the neurology side of the brain, because we're about science. Inspiration, motivation is wonderful. However, it only lasts so long. It really depends on the person's inner makeup and what they want to accomplish. So I'm really based on the science side.
Yes.
And now you look at these platforms that are out there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, it's fascinating to me because they don't realize that things are geared to create a dopamine effect within your brain. You keep scrolling, you keep scrolling. And I trust your audience all of a sudden will say to themselves, wow, how many times have they been looking at their phone or their computer, and all of a sudden an hour went by and it felt as if it was 10 minutes.
Yes. I've been there.
Yeah. Here's something that I get in trouble with the medical community, because I'm around the medical community. Mm-hmm. And I say, this ADD, ADHD thing is a bunch of crap. Explain to me how a 14-year-old can stay on his phone for 2 hours and not lose his concentration, but yet he can't sit in a class for 45 minutes to 50 minutes and listen to some teacher teach.
Yes.
Tell me that. Explain that to me. And the excuses are fascinating from professionals. So I'm the type of person where I stand my ground on this.
Yes.
I do. I stand my ground on this, saying, that's ridiculous. You can't tell me this person can't do something for 50 minutes when all of a sudden they can do something for 2 hours because it's so engaging. Why don't we have people stand up in class, especially the ones that are really hyper? Let them stand up in class and put some type of platform out there, put their computer on, put the book on, and they can move and stretch. They won't make any noise.
Yes.
And Matt, if you really want to know the science behind it, every 23 seconds, your blood circulates through your entire body. You pump about 4,000 gallons of blood a day. Wow. 4,000 gallons of blood a day. You are at your most sedentary when you sit in a class and some teacher, professor is going like this for 45, 50, 60 minutes. Really? Why aren't the people that are having a tough time sitting still, put them in the back and let them move around, stretch.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden, you're forcing the blood to go faster through the body, which has to go through the brain. So you got a better chance of them focusing. So they should move around about every 12 minutes, get them up, move them around, sit them back down and let them stand in the back.
Yes.
Why are we doing something different? And you can tell I'm adamant, I'm purposeful about this. We keep doing the same damn way, expecting different results.
Yes.
It's mind-boggling to me.
Yes. I'll never forget, I went for a visit to the Air Force Academy back when I was a senior in high school, thinking of going there. Middle of class, this kid next to me stands up, and I was like, what's this guy doing? Stands the rest of the class. It was like a 45-minute class. He probably stood for 40 minutes. And I'm like thinking to myself, did this guy get in trouble? Did he not do his pull-ups? Like, what did he do? And we get right to the end of class, the bell rings, and the professor, also in the military, looks at him and says, thank you very much. I know you had a long night last night. I appreciate you standing up to pay attention and focus in the class. Kid you not. But it was accepted there, right? Of how do we do things differently to make sure we're staying engaged and focused. And that was something they asked them to do at the Air Force Academy. But to your point, I think it's something as if we're in a high school or college, like we can do something similar, right? Have a conversation with the professor saying, I need to do this, or teacher. And is that okay? And do it in an appropriate way, right? To maintain that focus. It's doing things differently to get a different result, like you said. So,
and I love the word you use, different. Why aren't we doing something, just experimenting with something different? Because you look at the country, the United States is behind in math and science.
Yes.
So we're doing something not the way it should be done, or at least let's experiment. Yes. Let's let the young people get up every 12 minutes, stretch, do something, get a glass of water, go to a different seat. Why aren't we trying something new? And I'm telling you, I know there's teachers out there that have some great ideas, but they get squashed and squandered by other people. It's just, it's heartbreaking. It really is.
Well, I think even to this point, right? If I'm a coach having a team meeting, oftentimes we have the kids sit for an extended period of time, and it's just keeping these things in mind of like, how do we keep our kids who are used to being active, even in a team meeting setting where we're watching film, like mix it up, do something different. And you might be surprised how quickly you get through the film session or whatever you're trying to do, right? By approaching it differently, knowing like what part of the brain we're trying to trigger in the body.
I spent 10 years in the NFL working with NFL coaches, working with assistant coaches. And I will tell you that they sit in these classes doing these film sessions. And I thought, okay, I'm going to experiment with a couple of the coaches, and they're open to it. Once they get to know you and trust you, they're open to it. Yep. And a lot of times they sit there and go through this, and they always have the red pointer. The coach always has the red pointer. I said, why don't we buy red pointers for everybody? And then you call on someone and ask them what they should do. Where should they be? And they have to stand up and do it. And I'll do that part. I'll ask them to stand up when they do it so they don't sit there. That way, you all of a sudden extend the ability to focus because you're going to increase the bloodstream up into the brain. And the other thing is, why don't we confirm that by them drawing the play? So I'm giving away some secret sauce right now to a lot of the football coaches, basketball coaches, baseball coaches, everyone. Have the young people actually draw the play. Now, you got to be careful because you can ask them to do it, but if you ask them to do it in front of the other players up on the whiteboard in front of everyone, you got to be careful because I made a grave mistake a couple of times where they run these plays over and over and over in practice, defense and offense, special teams. And a couple of guys went up to draw the play and they were off. They were really off. And other people would just pelt them with, what are you kidding me? Where are you? And it wasn't good. So what we did was we gave out, yellow pads and, hey, draw it on the yellow pad. The coach come by and will confirm that you're in the right position.
Yes. That's a good
So
idea.
we learned a tough lesson. And, I remember apologizing years ago to guys saying, hey, man, that's my fault. I should not have put you in that position. We will not do that again. So now when I go out, and I've got to go out here to an NFL team next couple of weeks and teaching the assistant coaches, you want to confirm, because believe it or not, in 72 offensive plays, 75 offensive plays in the NFL, and even on defense, believe it or not, you'd be shocked how many times guys are in the wrong position, going the wrong way.
Yes.
It's shocking.
I bet.
Right.
When it's so interesting though, because I interviewed Merrill Hodge, I interviewed him, and he talked about Clay Matthews, senior, not junior, senior. And Merrill talked about a couple of things. One is he learned over his career to write stuff down, to start understanding other positions. So you understood where everyone was going. And he said when he played against Clay Matthews, he goes, I've never seen anyone know who he was playing against so unbelievably well. And I have in my mind that I wonder if Clay Matthews was sitting there drawing out all the plays that, the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to run. And that's how he knew it so well. But you start hearing these secrets, like Clay Matthews was doing it, Merrill Hodge was doing it. I thought that Ryan Harris, who was tackle with the Broncos, he constantly wrote stuff down. And that seems like one of these secrets where it's like, hey, athletes, start drawing, start writing. And then coaches, have your athletes start drawing, start writing. And it's a simple thing that I now have heard consistently in many, many interviews, which seems to lead to success.
You're spot on. I mean, that's one of the prerequisites that we teach these coaches at every level, and it will help your athletes tremendously. And more importantly, it confirms to the coach, okay, I got a better probability of this particular athlete now being where they're supposed to be on these particular plays or these systems or processes, whatever you work. And it's great for the athlete because it builds courage. It builds confidence now that they know. Asking a question, do you understand where you're supposed to be? Yes. How do you know? Confirm that they say yes all the time. So the coach goes, okay, next. Wait a minute. Let's confirm that they actually know. Trust, but verify.
Yes.
I learned that on a trip to the White House from a guy named Ronald Reagan. When we met Ronald Reagan, when I was playing against the Washington Bullets back then, it tells you how long it was when I was playing the NBA. And Ronald Reagan said, trust, but verify. Mm. Same thing in my business today. I trust you understand it. I just want to verify it.
Yes. And it's interesting being a coachee of yours too. At the end of every call, you ask me, now repeat back like what we talked about today. And the bullets of these are the takeaways. And it's, you've written notes, I've taken notes, but you asked me very intentionally to repeat it back. And it's those simple things. If that's the confirmation that, okay, at least Matt knows what we talked about on the call today, or this, the person I'm coaching knows what they're doing. And then it's up to him to go execute, right? And actually play the game. So it's so interesting.
Well, I love the word you just said, intentional. You're right. I take massive notes when I speak with people on the phone, on Zoom, in person, because we have to have something that keeps us accountable to the action items after we're done.
Yes.
There has to be. And people say, God, would you train our salespeople? Would you train our executive staff? Would you come and train one of our board of directors? I said, listen, I don't train. You train people. You train dogs. My wife shows dogs. She showed them all around the world. She trained dogs. You don't train people. Don't say we're going to training. I'm going to go mentor them. I'm going to go teach them. I'm going to go coach them. But I am not training people. You're training for a small little time frame or a particular incident. We're not doing that.
Yes.
And your word intentional is we're very intentional with mentoring, coaching, teaching.
So huge.
So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. Well, intentionality is critical, right? One of my cups, I have be intentional, be consistent, right? And it's doing the little things right every day of what are you choosing to do, and then be intentional with that time even as well. And it makes just a huge difference. The small things add up, right? As you said, the compounding effect. I want to talk about your transition from high school to college to the pro level. And then I've got a follow-up question with some of the people you work with now. When you look back, what was the biggest kind of thing you had to overcome transition from high school to college and then college to the pros? What are the biggest differences? What adjustments did you have to make when you jumped those levels?
Those, God, the biggest differences from high school to college to the pros. First of all, you're eliminating hundreds of thousands of people from high school to college.
Yep.
Literally hundreds of thousands of young people that they're not sure if they can play at the collegiate level. They know they can't play at the collegiate level, period.
Yes.
And you're now all of a sudden 18 and you're going from high school to college, and you've got someone that's 21, 22, maybe even 23, 24 with what happened with COVID.
Yes.
And those people got the extra year or two. It's a totally different dynamic. I was not as prepared for the consistency of the strength, the speed, and the quickness of the collegiate athlete. I played when I was in Philadelphia. We used to sneak up at the Villanova's gymnasium, and you got a chance to play against some of the college players when you were in high school. However, it was every once in a while, maybe once every 2 weeks, we got into that gym to play against some of the college players.
Yes.
So you realize, like, wow, this guy's fast, man. Dude, you can jump. Oh my God, this is strong. Well, I'm in trouble. So you get to know that when you're 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And now all of a sudden, you've got to now compete in practice every day. And you have this rude awakening of, you're sitting at your locker, you're going back to your college dorm room, and you're going, man, I got to do something here. I better, oh my gosh.
Yes.
And I was one of the fortunate ones because I was working out preschool. I mean, before I went to class every day, I was in the gym before school started. Even when practice and the season was going on, I still went in the gym even during practice days and even during game days. So I was one of the fortunate ones that I built up the speed, the strength, the stamina, and the quickness because of the extra effort, the extra work.
Yes.
The transition from college to the pros, you're half of 1%.
Yes.
That's the way it is. You are half of 1%, and you think you're strong and you're big and you're fast. Now you're playing against people and you're 22, 23. Now you're playing against people that may be the same age, but most of them are 27, 28, 29,
Yep.
and they've got 4 or 5 years of experience in the NBA against you.
Yes.
You are at a huge disadvantage. Huge. So my first entry into the NBA, I was with the Golden State Warriors. I was the last guy cut. Al Attles, was a Hall of Famer, fantastic coach. I love your hustle, Jim. Your shooting, everything you do. We're just squeezed with guys on guaranteed contracts. So we're going to ask you to go to our CBA affiliate, kind of like the NBA G League.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I go back to my hotel room, man. I'm crying. I thought I had it.
Yes.
And I didn't have it because I realized now that my speed was just a little bit behind. My passes were just a little bit behind. I'm talking a fraction, but a fraction in the NBA, somebody steals the ball, they're going the other end. A fraction is you don't get your shot off, someone blocks it. A fraction is you're in the wrong defensive spot. So my year in the semi-pro league helped because, I was an all-star down there, so my transition now back up into the NBA was a simpler transition for me. I was prepared for it.
Yes.
So it was a great move by Al Attles then at the Golden State Warriors to send me to, the G League because it prepared me. It over-prepared me for what was coming, especially on the mental side, Matt, because people have to understand in pro sports, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer. In basketball, you play 15, 16 games a month. Half of those games you're flying, you're on a plane. And now people are going to say, well, you're making $5, $10, $15, $20 million a year. I understand that. It's a very challenging profession.
Yes.
Night in and night out to create results. That's why there's big turnover in the NBA. People don't realize there's a big turnover in the NBA. those last 3 to 5 guys on every NBA team, they're not going to be there next year.
Very
32
true.
teams, you start thinking about how many jobs now are available.
Yep.
In baseball, it's the same thing. You get 2 or 3 days off in baseball in the pros. I think you get 5 days off or 8 days off in college baseball. For all the young people listening out there, if you aspire to play at the next level, high school, college, be prepared to start working right. Let me see. It's 11. Yeah, you better start working right now.
Right now.
Yeah, in between classes, do some push-ups.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to play and be competitive and get results, be willing to be different and do something different every darn day.
Yes. Well, look, understanding your transition that you went to the G League, equivalent that first year, then you got to pop back up. A lot of people at that level, I see this all the time where it's like a kid doesn't make a team that they wanted to, right? And it may have to go to a different club or it's a lower team or something like that. And not everybody has that attitude of like, oh, I'm going to dig in and go, right? Sometimes, a lot of the time, it's like, I'm going to give up and leave. How do you coach people? Like, I guess looking at your career, like, why did you choose to look at that as like, oh, this is an opportunity, this is a stepping stone, so I'm going to take advantage of this, even though this 1 year, and I know I'm going to be back up at the NBA the next year? Or so how did you look at that, and how do you coach people who might be having that decisioning going on in their heads of like, do I leave or do I stay? Like, it's a couple questions in there,
what
but
do I do?
where do I go? Why? Yeah.
To me, in this day and age, it is so simple to be unbelievably accomplished. It is incredibly simple. Why? People give up so easily. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's sports. I don't care if you want to be the lead in the play. It is so simple to be unbelievably accomplished. Learn to be tough. Learn to have some grit to you. Learn to be relentless. I say no to people right away just to see if they'll call me back. I have more college people call me, go, I've heard so much about I want to train with you. Well, I don't train people. And then I shut up and hear what they say. You're not a dog. I'm not training you. I can educate you. I can mentor you. I can put you on an accountability calendar. I can give you a massive calendar that's about 5 by 5, and you can put up on your calendar so you can see why you didn't make it. I don't make excuses for people. I don't. There's no excuse. And we're allowing people to have excuses. It's the coach. It's this. It's that. No, you live in a world where the opportunities are amazing. They are absolutely fascinating. What you can learn on this thing called Google and YouTube, mm-hmm. Where was it when I was that age?
Exactly.
Oh my God. The videos, it's right there for you. Put your phone down, put up on your wall as big as you can. This is what I'm going to accomplish, period. Will you get it every time? No, it doesn't work that way. It's not the formula. I want this. I want this. Good. Tell me what you did the last 10 days.
Yes.
That's all I ask. When I get people call me, coaches from the NFL, coaches in college, coaches in high school, they're upset. And then I got parents calling me, I got agents calling me. Hey, tell me what he did this morning. Let's call him up. Let's call him up right now. Put me on a conference call with him. Hey, it's Thursday morning. What'd you do this morning at 6 o'clock? Oh, I was sleeping. What time did you get up? Around 9. Listen, go be great at something else. You don't want it.
Yes.
Yes. If we know getting up early is a common denominator to be very accomplished, and I understand most people aren't morning people, that's their fault. That's their choice. Don't tell me that. I'll get, I can get people up. I'll give you 10 grand if you get up tomorrow morning at 6. I'll give you 11 grand if you get up tomorrow morning, the next morning at 6.
Yes.
Can't believe how fast people get up.
Yes.
So as you can tell, this isn't for everybody.
Yes.
The way I coach, the way I teach, the way I mentor, the way I keep people accountable, it's not meant for everybody.
Yep.
It's not. You mentioned those people, the Drew Brees of life, the Jameis Winstons of the world. I'm working with another NFL team right now. These are the people that wanted it. Cole Hamels wanted it. Yes. Jared Dudley wanted it. Kobe Bryant, working with him. He's early every time. And it's not about basketball. It's not about football. It's not about hockey. It's not about golf. It's about the person. My identity is not sports. My identity would say, oh, you're the basketball player. I said, no, more than that. I've actually read about 1,000 books in the area of human development. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. I give a great deal of money to the American Cancer Society because of what my wife went through. I donate my time to the American Cancer Society. I'm not just basketball. And I see these young people that just, that's their identity. Then when something goes wrong and everything, I'm telling you, we're human beings. Something or some things are going to go wrong.
Yes.
It is inevitable. Now we find out who you are as a person.
Yes.
That's what people are missing.
Yes. I love that because, I've talked before, probably years ago at this point, about, me getting cut my freshman year of college and then coming back and making the team. But that year was transformative for me because I finally figured out who I was. And the sport had to be stripped away for me to understand that. And then once I did, and then brought the sport back in, it was a completely different area of focus, right? And I think we were talking about, when we do the little things consistently, when we make those choices, when we decide to get up early, when we decide that we want it, we're not just doing it to be successful in our sport. You're developing you as a person, and it's going to impact everything else that you do, or at least it should.
Everybody write that down. Replay that on your computers. Replay what Matt just said. That's it right there. I mean, it's the circle. The circle of in the middle is why. The next circle is what. The next circle is how. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to play basketball? Why do you want to play football? Why do you want to be the lead in the school play? Why do you want to get an A on your physics test? Okay. What do we have to do? When do we have to do it? And how are we going to do it? It's a really simple formula. It starts with the why.
That's very true. When it was, interesting, I was thinking about the other day, Jim, his son and I were talking. He's in the other room now. I don't think he can hear me, but he'll listen to this interview, so he will hear this. But the other night, he made a goal of, hitting a number of shots for hockey in the basement. And he got home and he had worked that day, and then he went and golfed, and he got home. He's like, man, I'm just so tired. And I was like, well, I haven't seen you hit your hockey shots today. and the funny thing was, he asked me to hold him accountable to it. So I said, okay.
Nice.
So I just mentioned, I haven't seen you hit. And he goes, I'm just so tired. And I said, okay, well, I bet if you just went down and hit 5 shots, maybe that starts like the energy going again. And so he begrudgingly went down. And let's be honest, like sometimes we think it's like, oh, I should have this attitude of like, oh, yes, like extra work. And I'm so super excited every single day. I don't think that's not a reality. Right. But the choice is. And so he went down and he did his shots and he came back up, I don't know, 20 minutes later saying, yep, got it done. And it wasn't a lot of time. And I think that's what I want everyone to hear from what you're saying, like amongst many things, but like it's the little things, really little things done consistently. And I think you told me a story one time on Major League Hitter you were working with. I think you asked him, like, what do you think made you get to the major leagues? And he made a comment to you, and stop me if I'm probably getting this incorrect, Jim, but he made a comment to you of like he would take 20 swings or 30 swings after practice every single day. It started in high school through his entire career. And he talked about that was one of the things that he was willing to do, the things that others weren't. And it took him 3 minutes. 3 minutes every day.
I did something with the I'll let you know something. I did something with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I watched after practice, they had 2 machines that you could put the football in, similar to the baseball machines, and the ball comes flying out. And you got all these defensive backs. So there's 5 of them back there, and you got 3 linebackers, okay? And I thought, and it's hot. I'm telling you, it is unbelievably hot. The bugs are big in Tampa. They're huge. The mosquitoes make noises. I mean, and I thought, why aren't we buying at least 5 more of these machines? Because you can get 30 balls fit in it, or 20 balls fit in the trash can, and put the ball in, it goes through the thing, guy catches it, puts it in the trash can next to him, and then empty trash can. You can get 20 of those balls coming out in about 32 seconds. Mm. So we're talking 2 minutes, and they can catch somewhere between 40 to 60 balls. So after practice is over, and they're hot and sweaty, hey, can you just give yourself an extra minute and 30 seconds? That's all it was. And they kept doing that over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, guys were just catching the ball, and it was an extra minute and a half, and they go in, they're done. It was the consistency of doing it, similar to what you said with your son. When the consistency is applied, all of a sudden the compound effect comes into play. They had the least drop balls. They had the most interceptions that year. Why? How often does a defensive back really catch the ball in practice? Not that often.
Not often, yeah.
Yeah, because the quarterbacks have to throw to the wide receivers, the slot receivers. They have to throw to the backs. So they limit how many throws they're going to do. So a defensive back can change an entire game, but they sometimes drop the ball. And I thought, I'm going to take care of this, and it's only going to take at least a minute and 30 seconds every day to catch somewhere between 40 to 60 balls. So that little bit that your son did, and this goes for everybody, there is a science behind it. It's building something called myelin, myelin. The repetitiveness of doing it. And it should be done with precision, because you then impact the myelin that goes around the nerves in the body. It's like I can swish my free throws with my eyes closed. Work with Kobe Bryant. Let's swish balls with our eyes closed. Okay, why? Muscles don't have memory. I just shake my head when I hear coaches or someone say, your muscle memory. Muscles don't have memory. They're fibers and tissues. It's an electrical signal that's sent to the muscle to perform some type of act. So again, we go back to whoever does it, and if they can do it with precision, they will get better quicker, and it will be maintained because of the neural pathways in the brain. And I hope right now your audience is going, that sounds sophisticated. No, it's not. It's not sophisticated. It's not. Look up myelin, myelin. There's a short little thing on it, and you'll say, wow, this is why I should have my son or daughter just jump rope for 20 seconds every morning and count how many times they're doing the jumping. So in 10 seconds, they should be able to jump about, if they're 15 years old, they should jump about 31 times, 26 to 31 times. In about 3 weeks, they'll get it to about 35 to 37 times. You'll also see them run faster. You'll also see them jump higher. Why? The electricity is being sped up in their brain. The electrical signal is sent quicker to the muscles, hence the quickness and being fast. Now, come on, people. We got to understand that. I hope people go, wow, I never thought about that. Every morning, the jump rope should be downstairs while they're having their cereal or their toast or whatever they're having. It's right there. Put the phone on, let them, start. The phone starts and start with the jump. And all of a sudden it gets to 8 seconds, start counting. Gets to 18 seconds, stop. How many jumps did I do in 10 seconds? Yes. Or 20 seconds?
Yes.
But something every day.
So huge.
Huge. Change the dynamics.
Huge.
That's it.
And I'm telling you, everyone watching right now, listening right now, take what Jim's saying, right? And if you have not listened to any of the other interviews in the series, go listen to them, because you're going to see like real life examples. And we could spend hours talking about this stuff of like very specific examples, but even go listen to the interviews of the little things that these pro athletes and Olympians did consistently. And it was repeated over and over and over and over again in high school, at the college level, and at the professional level or Olympic level. And to your point, Jim, it's simple, not easy, but it's relatively simple if we make those different choices.
I applaud you what you did with your son. Simple to do, simple not to do.
Yes.
Only 5. Come on, son, it's 5.
Yep.
I'm tired, Dad. No, you're not. Here's $1,000. He's untired like that. Hell, with him at that age, I give him $50. Boom, he's done.
Exactly. But quarter is a quarter.
No, I don't know about a quarter. But
yeah, that's too bad. That's too much.
Simple not to do.
Yes.
If people don't understand, you're thinking, what's 5 attempts? Big deal. Oh, no. He does that again when he's supposedly winded. And he does it again when he's winded. All of a sudden now, at the end of the week, he's got, let's say, 20 in, or he's got 30 in. And that starts to add up. And people can't see that. What he's doing now, it's going to pay off in 6 months. Yep. He can't see it because people under the age of about 45 live in the now. When you get past about 45, 50 from our history and our white papers and all the interviews we've done, 45 years of age, people start going, wow, friends are dying, things have happened, people getting cancer. So under that age, people just think in the now. So if your son does that little bit, or anyone just does that little bit, it becomes the compound effect. It's a mathematical equation. I'll give you $1 million right now. Come on now, you'd like that. Everyone, I'll take $1 million. I'll write the check. Here's $1 million. Or I'll give you a penny a day and I'll double the penny every day for 31 days. The compound effect.
Yes.
1 penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies, 8 pennies, 16 pennies. And after 4 days, I only got 16 pennies. This dude's got $1 million. Be patient, sensei. It's coming. And you go after 31 days, it's over $10,700,000 after 31 days. And we show people that on a piece of paper, the mathematical equation of what a penny a day doubled every day for 31 days becomes. Because it's not what you get, it's what you become. What's the value you're becoming? Each one of the coaches, what book are you reading right now to become a better version of yourself, a better communicator? And I always have people, I don't have time to do that. Really? You don't have time to get up and read 10 pages in the morning before you go to the bathroom, before you do anything? It's going to take, what, 9 minutes, 8 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
And you know I harp on this. We've talked
Yes.
about this.
Yes.
There has to be a time frame that people are reading 5 to 10 pages every day, period. So you become more valuable. For all the coaches out there, I would highly suggest they read John Ratey, R-A-T-Y, his book called Spark. Fabulous book. You'll make your students better. You'll make your athletes better. You'll become better. Your sons and daughters will become better. Just read 10 pages of a book. I get nothing for this. John isn't going to call me and go, hey, Jim, I just sold 1,000 books. Let me send you $100. I get nothing.
Yes.
But here's content, here's stories, here's actual experiments that were done to prove how you can help young people academically and athletically.
It's a really good book too. I've read it. I probably read it 5 years ago at this point, and it's a really, really interesting book. And again, it's doing things differently. It's looking at the landscape differently. And doesn't take that long when you really, so you have to pick up the book and read it and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine 20 years ago, someone saying, you're going to be able to look at your watch and talk to somebody on your watch? What?
Right.
Get out of here. No way. That's the type of methodology and thinking that people are in school and in business. We couldn't do that. No way.
Yep. It's amazing.
I'm fascinated all the time by what people can accomplish if they're around the right cohort of people.
Yes.
If you're around the right cohort, you can change the dynamics and direction of your life. You can.
So true. And athletes listening, there are those other athletes out there, even if they're not on your team, who you can surround yourself with. Coaches, there are other coaches out there that you can surround yourself with. And you have to go seek those people out. I mean, I met Jim, 10 years ago? I don't even know. 12 years ago? No, probably 10 years ago. At that sports psychology conference in San Diego. And I knew after Jim talked, I had to go meet him. And I know you've heard this story before, Jim, so it's repetitive to you, but in my mind, like, there are certain people that, like, everyone watching and listening, like, there are those people you need to go talk to and just get to know them. Like, there's no agenda, there's no nothing, but I knew on that day I needed to meet Jim Brogan. And so I went up and I met him, and I got his email, and we started just conversing back and forth, and we talk every so often. And then I've been fortunate to have him as my coach for the past like couple years. And I look at that of stepping out, and just me, it was asking for help because I wanted to learn from someone who'd walked the path before me. And I knew, Jim, you were a high performer. I'm like, man, if I can be around that dude, like, I don't even have to live in the same city, but I'll just feed off him from San Diego, me in Denver, and I'll just feed off his energy. So, but I knew I needed to meet him, and I knew I needed to meet you. And I'm just so appreciative and thankful for that day. And then our paths crossed so many years ago that has led us to where we're at today. It's pretty incredible for me. So thank you for all you've done for me. and let alone this audience, and you just taking your time today to share some of your wisdom. It means a lot to me.
Well, thank you. It's the ultimate compliment. And for everyone listening, I mean, please get a hold of Matt, get in front of him. I don't know where you live, but listen to what he talks about, because he's the vessel. He's the person, just like I am. I mean, I'm a product of the 1,000 books I've read, and people go, wow, that's a lot of books. Now it's kind of embarrassing over 40 years. And you look at 10 pages a day times 365 days, 40 years. It's kind of embarrassing. I've missed out on a lot of books. And it's all because of one person said, Jim, I won't work with you unless you read 10 pages a day. He was a neurologist. He's one of the top guys in the country. And that was the accountability factor. And it started a habit. And I looked at some of the people you've worked with. I looked at what you're about, your programs you have in place. I mean, I see these people make the investment in these kids and send them to all these camps, and they spend literally thousands of dollars. And I think, he's right there in Denver, or he's got his platform on Zoom. Take advantage of this. I mean, people, make an investment in your son, into your teams, into your student athletes. Matt is right there. Take advantage of it. At least, I always say, what's the chance that my son or my daughter gets better because they get Matt's information? What are the possibilities? That's the way I look at what you do and how you're doing with teams and people and coaches, especially the Coaches Alliance. There's the thing that moves the needle, is your coaching alliance and your content and information and platforms. That's the key right there, because I always ask coaches and I ask people, tell me 2 or 3 things you're doing to become better. So the season's over. Next season's coming up. Just had a conversation with an NBA coach, because, you know, they're all going to watch the finals coming up. Okay, tell me 2 or 3 things you're going to do different from next year, because you didn't make the playoffs. You got to keep your job. And I know this is kind of your questions that you ask. All right, so what are we doing? And tell me, is it being done consistently? So everyone out there, look, everything is to gain here.
Yes.
Everything is to gain for what Matt has accomplished and who he works with. I mean, I'm fortunate, the high profile people I've worked with, you're in the same boat. We're both on the same oars.
Yes.
And that's where you get to really make an impact, because you've seen what happens at the pro level. You've seen what happens at the college level. And some of these young people that you get to speak with and the coaches you get to talk with, they have such a great opportunity, and they miss it because just of the lack of consistency. Not just in the kinesthetic side, but more on the neurological side.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I always say coaches they're the conduit to the growth of student athletes, right? You are the catalyst, and you all know that. And to have that opportunity to impact lives every single day. I mean, I'm so blessed that my kids have had great coaches, and I'm continue to be blessed that they've got great coaches. And that's what gets me fired up of, like, how do we do it together? How can we help move the needle faster and move it, get us quicker? I mean, that's the fun of what you and I get to do every day.
I applaud all these coaches that do what they do. They're underpaid, overworked. They get brutalized from the parents, from the administration, from the kids, and they still go out there and do it. I tip my cap to them. I do. And if they can just get maybe a little bit more content or experiences or experiments or accountability type platforms from you, it makes them even better. It makes their teams even better, because I mean, my college coach was he was different. We rarely played 5-on-5. Rarely. It was always 5 offensive players against 4 defensive players. Always. And it was just, my freshman year, I can never forget. It's like, where's the other guy? No. There's only 4 of you out there. You got to
only
get
9 on the team. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. He goes, well, you see, the offense always is going to take advantage of the defense, and somebody's going to be out of position. So you guys might as well start being out of position. So there's 4 of you.
It's true. Oh, I love that.
Wonder why we won all those championships in 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I've asked a couple of guys in pro football. I said, take 2 guys off the line. What? Yeah, take 2 guys off the offensive line. Take 2 of them off there. The quarterback's going to get crushed. You're not going to hit him in practice. Figure it out. Yep. I'll take 1. Okay, take 1. the offensive line became unbelievable.
Yes.
They had to figure it out.
You have to figure it out.
You got to figure it out. I love that saying. You got to figure it out. Okay, how can I help you? What are 2 ways I can help you?
So good. So, Jim, I can't thank you enough. Here's what I want to leave everyone with. And we'll put ways to connect with Jim in the show notes. So please connect with Jim as well. My challenge based off what Jim said today, athletes and coaches, what are 1 or 2 things that you can start doing now on a consistent basis that will separate you from everyone else? And I want you to identify what are those 1 or 2 things. And as soon as you're done listening to this, watching this, go put those into practice. Listen to Jim Brogan, the advice, the secret, the simple thing that you can do to separate yourself from everyone else. Jim, thank you so much, as always, for your time. I cannot wait till our next conversation, and I know we'll speak very, very soon, but thank you very much.
Oh, I'm honored, and thank you so much. And I love what you're doing and just spreading the word and spreading your information and the difference you can make, Matt. So it's an honor, and thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Everyone listening, please go check out the other interviews, connect with Jim, go through the show notes, connect on all things social and email and all that sort of stuff. And we can't wait to see you on the next interview. Jim, thanks again. We'll talk soon.